Fucking leaning. Alright, y'all. Welcome back. Another episode. We are currently at work. We out here with my boy Devin. Devin with a Y.
Yep.
By the way. Today I think it's gonna be an interesting conversation. Before this gets started, for everybody out there, when y'all watching this, I understand that everybody won't be able to have the same conversations. You got to be able to meet somebody on some type of level ground. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to have a conversation for understanding and actually listening. So I hope that y'all can listen as well as we can, conversate. So
actually, we should probably restart this because I don't exactly know where to look on this thing.
the camera's right here.
Ah, okay. Well, I need to
Do not restart.
Oh no. Alright. It's all good.
Look.
This is my first time on one of these things, so.
Yeah, so if, y'all gotta be nice to my boys for real, because, we are all about, and I tell y'all this all the time, we are all about having a conversation. It don't matter who you are, you know what I'm saying? Even if you are opposing viewpoints, devil advocate, whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? You don't ever want to just shut down a conversation because a person don't think the exact same way you think. With that being said, we're watching this video on post-traumatic slave disorder, and it's just it's an interesting video, and we've actually talked about it on here before, so you guys can go back and watch that video for the kind of gist of that. But basically, we're talking about just how and why black people act the way we act, and not only that, how to kind of excel in a way, because as a person you always want to become better than you were yesterday, of course. And I think just as our counterparts, we just got to do better. All around we got to do better. We were actually just talking about how you were saying, like, the whole you're above me and I'm above you. First off, actually, I like to do this with all my new guests. You know what I'm saying? This is actually my boy. It's our first time in trucks together. This is really the first time we've actually had a conversation. But would you like to give the people just an introduction to who you are? Kind of a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so, my name's Devin. I just got this job working for these guys. A little nervous here. It's the first time I've ever done a camera like this, so. But,
bro, don't worry about it.
But yeah, I'm interested in politics. I'm interested in getting solutions figured out for things and, coming to common grounds, and also expanding consciousnesses and trying to figure out how to improve ourselves and help have good conversations and not have too much conflict. So
I think nowadays it's definitely hard. We were just talking about that earlier. It's hard to kind of be on the opposing sides, and I don't think we're that really opposing sides. So
no, fortunately I think we're pretty similar in a lot of ways. Like we were talking earlier about kind of how people are kind of reflections of each other in some sense, and I don't know, it's when you find people that have some common ground, it's easy to look at your, I don't know, I forgot what I was going to say, but
nervous.
A little nervous, yeah, for sure. Sorry.
It's like that sometimes, man. Honestly, my first time on here, I was super nervous, bro. Like, my first time, I was kind of all over the place. I really wasn't good at conversation. I'd pause a lot. I'd yawn a lot, bro. I was really bad.
Okay.
It was really bad.
Okay.
Trust me, bro. You're not doing any worse than I was, bro. Trust me.
So, I guess the best thing we could do is probably just get right into where we were at in this video, I guess kind of, I don't know.
Well, so yeah, like I was saying, so we were talking about just, I kind of wanted to dive deeper into your, explanation. You were saying, that I'm above you,
Oh yeah.
Could you, real quick, I forgot exactly what you said. Do you know?
Yeah, so what I was saying, I guess the context was we were talking about the post-traumatic slave disorder or syndrome, and I was saying that I really can understand how the generational traumas are coming through the pipeline, and then I was saying, like, I understand that you guys' anger in some sense, because I feel some of that guilt, I had nothing to do with the slavery system back then, but I'm kind of annoyed that I get seen as a descendant of one of those guys. Just like, you guys, I would imagine, are annoyed that you guys are seen as descendants of slaves, and then you guys also have a much more tangible, there's tangible consequences to what you guys are experiencing, and that kind of goes into, I'm in a unique situation because I'm at the bottom of the barrel myself. I'm kicking dirt down here and having a really hard time. I'm a probably unique case where, you are you have a lot more opportunities because I've screwed my life up so hard that you specifically have more opportunity to improve your life than I do. I've jacked myself up so much that seeing, I don't know, I come from a unique position where I can see how the paths that you guys can take to get yourself out of some of the things that have been pushed upon you by people that I don't approve of. I don't approve of these politicians and things like that that do this stupid stuff. So,
I guess and especially when it comes to politicians. So today I've been telling you this whole time, a lot of, and I like the word she used, cognitive dissonance comes from, being uneducated in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that anybody's uneducated, but I'm saying when you don't know exactly what it is you're fighting, it's hard to fight, and that's kind of what I was explaining to you earlier. A lot of black people, they don't understand, the generational, effects of what happened and, how that affects us today. She was saying, and she put it perfectly, she said, trauma, the way it affects people is different. You know what I'm saying? So the way that the trauma affects you is different from me. But where things got interesting is when she started saying how, where you learn from. If you learn from a broken person, that you're learning from a broken person, so you've been never going to be broken. So when you have that whole, think your life is going to end quicker than it really is, you have that whole...
Oh yeah, she was talking about the symptoms of PTSD.
Yeah, random bursts of anger and stuff like that, and that becomes normalized in your community. So a great thing that I forgot to tell you this because I wanted to make sure we caught it, the actual conversation.
Sure.
Like we were saying.
Okay.
But so if you really think about it, bro, for black people, we see it as mentality. You know what I'm saying? I always talk to you guys about perspective. I always talk to you guys about, owning how you see things. But the mentality with black people is the only way that we can make it out of the hood or the ghetto, as people say, is sports. You know what I'm saying? Basketball, football, or being a rapper or some type of musician. But
get involved with your communities.
Right. But not even just that. That's really it. Sports. Rapping. That's it. That's the only way that it is accepted.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah. That's the only way that black people in our community will be accepted by something. We were talking about support and, how sometimes when you're not necessarily thinking the right thing, you need to, have your support system right by you to pick you up. So when you say, let's say a black person wants to do something like be the best violin player ever, you know what I'm saying? You go tell somebody that they gonna make fun of your ass. You go tell your friends that they gonna cook your ass. You know what I'm saying? If anything that's outside of the ordinary, you are fucking ridiculed. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So when you have these things in place, and then you have that, oh, they're lazy, oh, they're this, oh, they're that, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You have all these things just backed up, like she said, with no healing, with no type of, you know, and even therapy in the black community is something that's kind of, you know, looked down upon. Like, oh, you getting therapy? What you need therapy for? You ain't got no friends? Why don't you just go talk to your friends? You know what I'm saying? You one of them lonely motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty common in general, I think, though.
Yeah.
That happens even for people in my situation. Because it's a clout thing. It's like, oh, you really got to be a little, you know, I don't know what word to use really, but, you know, you're not a man if you go to therapy.
Yeah, you're soft.
You're soft, yeah.
Yeah, you're soft.
That's across the board, but you know, I think it's dumb. I think everybody should go get some help if they need it.
And see, what I think I want people to kind of understand, and what I want people to realize is just like you said, you know, we're all in the same fucking place, bro. Like, we're sitting right next to each other. You know what I'm saying? And even though I'm a descendant of slaves, and you could be, because you don't even know if you're really descendants of slave owners.
I mean, I'm Irish. You can't see very well, but this is red as hell.
So you know what I'm saying? You had some motherfuckers in there too.
Well,
so you know what I'm saying? Like, we all at the end of the day are in the same place, bro. Like, this whole, we were talking about the distrust in, you know, each other. You know, like, we don't trust our neighbors and shit like that. Like, I feel like that, keeping that conversation, like, you're right, you know, to a certain degree you are right. Keeping that conversation valid today, it kind of puts you in that victim mindset. You don't understand,
that's
like,
fair.
Where to go after that.
And I can take some ownership for that because I don't think that they have any context of that. I was saying that there's a really dangerous thing going around right now. There are people that are propagating victim mentality. They're saying, this happened to you, you know, I mean, I guess it's easiest if I'm actually being specific to what we're actually talking about.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't want to come across any certain kind of way other than looking at the facts and kind of breaking them down.
Bro,
so
look,
like,
I got them. If y'all say anything about him, y'all saying it about me. Me and my boy having a conversation. Trust me.
Okay, all right, that's cool. But so yeah, we were talking about, like, or I mean, what she was saying on the video was, I'm definitely nervous and I can't think straight. But
it's okay, bro. Look, as time will go on, bro,
okay, I'll cool off. So we're just talking about the victim mentality, and I guess it's coming from a lot of different angles. The victim mentality, you know, people are saying this is happening to you, and it's okay to feel sad about it, and it is okay to feel sad about it. But you gotta make sure that you draw that line to where it's not impacting your day-to-day life. You're not feeling too sad about things. You're not getting too angry about things. Like, you're looking at it in a rational way. You know, you're saying, okay, this may also not be something that I am dealing with, like, alone, or is not necessarily not just you, exactly. It's a lot of people are experiencing it, and
I think I get what you're saying to a point. So you're trying to say, like, you know, we're all kind of going through the same things, you know, and even though what she said has truth to it and has some merit to it, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to let that feeling of, you know, oh, all this stuff has happened to me and I'm just, you know, a victim. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to let that consume you. You want to be aware of it so you can, you know, like we said, you know, it's good to know, like, the reason that you act certain ways and the reason that you do certain things, you know. It's not because of necessarily, like you were saying earlier, we get trauma from our parents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that definitely passes down. So in the same way, a lot of the like bad things that they did may have been passed down too. You know what I'm saying? And they may not. And when I say bad, I just mean unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't necessarily mean bad. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a very like. There's not necessarily like a fine line between good and bad, just because every human is so different. And just like she was saying, like what I may perceive as traumatic, you may not. You know what I'm saying? Or what you may perceive as traumatic may not affect me in no type of way. You know what I'm saying? But it's about.
I mean, trauma is a real thing, and it definitely impacts everybody differently.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, talking to somebody, even if it is your friends or whatever, you know, that helps. It helps even in a little way. You're like, you don't necessarily have to get professional help. Like, even just chatting with people about stuff, it kind of just blends it out and it gets it off of your back. It gets it off of your shoulders.
Yeah. It's kind of like we were talking about earlier, releasing that energy to God. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I was just gonna say that was something that I found very like just inspirational, kind of like your kind of connection and your relation to, you know, that whole biblical and, you know, religion, and just like if you could just explain a little bit your viewpoint on your connection to, you know, God and just that higher power.
Yeah, sure. I do definitely believe in God. I tend to not follow any specific book too much. I've had enough experiences of kind of a mystical sort to say I am a believer. I think that there are very odd things that happen in a certain way that kind of really indicate to me that there is a God out there. You know, whether some people call it the universe or, you know, Allah or God or whatever it is, like, I think it's all kind of the same thing. But that there is really some kind of consciousness out there that has an eye on us and wants to help us through our lives, for sure. I try to live my life that way. I say some prayers sometimes for healing for people that I care about. Fireworks?
I think so.
Oh, something
What
exploded.
the fuck?
Something exploded. Jesus.
Holy shit. Yo.
That was crazy.
I knew that didn't look like, that was kind of low to be fireworks. Yo, what the fuck was that? That was just weird as fuck.
I hope that wasn't one of ours.
You and me both.
We should watch the chat.
Hell yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, so
No. Hopefully it's not, but
hopefully there wasn't anybody over there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that definitely didn't sound like no firework.
That was far away. We still heard it.
Yeah, I heard it clear too. Sorry about that, y'all. We just seemed like an explosion of some sort. It was kind of weird.
But yeah, I going back to my belief in God, I think that the more you ask for forgiveness and help, like, or you know, I think that your prayers do get answered. The more you pray about something, the more likely it is to happen. You know, it takes work. Your prayers aren't just answered. That's not how it works. You have to work. You have to put your own effort in.
Yeah, there is no faith is nothing without the work.
It's kind of a handshake, in some sense.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the whole like manifestation and, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of spiritual wave that kind of flew inside of technology or inside of social media? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think manifestation is real in some sense. I mean, again, it's like in religion, ask and you shall receive. It's like there's nothing that says manifestation can't be a work of God, because you could say that God has put this process in place in the fabric of nature of manifestation. That could be an argument you could make. It may not be true, but it could be an argument that you make. And like, you can do simple things like, if I hold this up and I drop it, the manifestation is that it falls. And that can be translated into other things. Now, I didn't create gravity. God created gravity, but I can use it as a tool to bring things to me.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Kind of like how we was talking earlier. You know what I'm saying? How I was saying, the whole energy can be transferred. The energy can be destroyed. It can only be transferred.
Yeah.
And you start, once you change your perspective of how you see things, you kind of you start having that gravitational pull. Like, you'll just find different things happening to you. Your life will change. And I think a lot of that comes with that like radical change that we was talking about. Just saying like, look, I know I've been doing the same shit that's been fucking me up. I'm not gonna do this shit no more, and I'm gonna start acting right. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get on my shit and start doing what I need to. And we were sitting here talking about just why people in general act the way they act, and you look at just how society is right now, and it's just a very different time to be alive. You know what I'm saying? It's a very different time to be alive. We have so much, but almost so little going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got so much going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because we see all this stuff happening on our phone. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, a lot of people are just doing exactly that, sitting there and staring at their damn phone all day. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I think it's just interesting when you find another like-minded person who's actually, likes to be conscious and think about things. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that, having an open conversation, I think, really needs to start happening these days. Like forums like this, like podcasts and things. Like, we've gotta be more open with each other, and also there's gotta be respect, and like on both sides, because I think both sides need to have the option to say things that may offend the other person. But this is kind of a two-way street. Like, you have to say it in a way that's not offensive,
right?
And then B, the other person has to understand that you mean well. You want to actually try to educate yourself. Because I've said a couple of things. Like, I've asked you a couple questions that are like, if you were a lesser person, you'd be very angry with me. But I can trust that you will respect that I'm truly curious. I don't know if you want to talk about the ratchet question I asked.
I mean, that's up to you. It's your question.
So I can probably do it in hopefully a way that the viewers will understand my true question, like the real reason I'm asking the question.
Of course. I always, I never shoot down a question, and it's because questions are meant to be answered to be informative. You know what I'm saying? When somebody's asking you a question on how to do something, or why this is, or what that is, you know what I'm saying? When somebody's asking you a question, that's because they could honestly not know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I genuinely was curious.
Right, genuine, like, curiosity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So the context of what I was asking about is like, I was wondering about some of what I guess I would personally consider like the ratchet culture, and it's not necessarily tied specifically towards your guys' community, black community. There's definitely ratchet white women out there, and like,
you brought that up.
I simply was asking, where do you think that might have come from, and you had said you think it's education. Like, you think that it stems all the way down from schools. And I thought that was pretty interesting. That, like, you think that I don't know.
So maybe when I say education, I confuse you a little bit. So when I say education, I mean education in all forms of the aspect. Okay. So when I say education, I mean something just like this right here. This is education. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Because we are coming together. It's a collective coming together to learn. You know what I'm saying? We sat here, watched the video for shit, like an hour, 2 hours, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we were educating ourselves on a topic, you know what I'm saying? To then have a conversation to educate ourselves further, you know what I'm saying? So when you ask the question, where do I personally think this, you know, ratchet culture comes from, I think of and that's why I kind of brought up that whole video, because you see that, right? And then now you see the strong woman, right?
Correct.
And you see the whole hot girl summer. And we were talking about culture, right? And we were saying how things in the Asian culture and the Mexican culture, things in different cultures are different. Yeah. So our culture, what is being glorified, is that hot girl summer, is that, you know, strong, independent woman who doesn't need a man.
Sure.
Like, think about what you're saying. If a woman does not need a man, what is she? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that she's nothing without a man, but I'm saying we're brought in this earth, right, for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that women have to be with, you know, men, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying at the end of the day, what it comes down to, like we were saying, is real primal, instinctive to want to procreate, to want to, you know, have your genes continued, and, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I tend to look at things in almost like a wild sense. Like, what do animals in the wild do? Like, why do they do the things that they do? And, like, we are still technically animal in nature. We have bigger brains for sure, and that allows us to have everything that, you know, we're lucky to have here. But, you know, we still have those core primal things of, you know, we still gotta eat, we still gotta, you know, keep our genes moving, like that kind of stuff. And like, a lot of the things we do are,
it's kind of like you were saying, like, you know, we still have, in some places we still have to fight for food. We still, in some places, we don't even have drinkable water. You know what I'm saying? And all of that, at the end of the day, you know, it makes you get, in a way, primal. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to find new ways to get that resource that you need.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get pushed into a corner, and when you corner something, you start getting a little aggressive.
Yeah, so, and that right there, I'm glad you said that. So think about, now let's tone it down a little bit. Okay. You know, let's think about the African American female. Think about the corner that she was backed into. We were just watching the video, and in that video, they described the black female as prey, right?
That was messed up.
Yeah. They described the black female as prey. And what she meant, and I'm sure you know, but I'm going to say just so they know, because I do have younger kids watch this, and they obviously do not read. Like, they don't learn about the same stuff, but I'll go to that later. But, so, they're looked at as prey, right? And what they were saying is basically black females got raped, black females, like, all these things would happen to black females, like, the medical system you see today, all the shit that they tested was on black females. You know what I'm saying? And if we would have watched that video a little deeper, we would have seen the horseshoe shit that people be using on horseshoes. You know what I'm saying? It's like a fucking, like, pick or some shit like that. They used to stick it in black babies' heads to see if they would survive. And she shows, like, the little, like, she shows it, bro.
Well, I'm kind of glad we didn't make it to that point.
Yeah, bro, because it gets like, bro, once you start really learning about that, it gets crazy. So you think about this culture of people that has been cornered into a fucking, like, they've been cornered.
And then I can see where that, like, again, that generational trauma comes, because like the lady had said, it's like, who taught you how to cook?
Right.
Your parents. Who taught them how to cook? Their parents. And so that, with that idea, like, you can see how, you know, if you're saying you're a slave and you tell your kids I was a slave, you're like, oh, well, I guess that's what I'm gonna be as a kid, and like that's not true. I definitely want to say that's not true. You can break the cycle. Everybody can break the cycles. Like, you don't have to be like your parents. You can be your own thing. And now, when you get, you know, the umbrella of the government, the economy, and how those social pressures change things, then I can see how it would be a lot harder, for sure. And that's something I kind of relate to, is because, again, I said that I've come from a really hard place, and I feel those social pressures, not in the same way, but in a similar way. And so, I mean, I get it, and I don't know. So.
I mean, and I'm glad we are having this conversation, because it is just, it's good for understanding. And you actually watched Left. Oh, that's good shit. Andrew, dude. Shout out my boy Andrew. Fucking, I wanted to talk about Leave the World Behind.
That was an interesting movie.
That was, bro. So
it was eerie. It was eerie. It was a very, very eerie movie.
Yeah. And especially knowing that the Obamas produced that, it's like, wow.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Obamas produced that movie, bro. Like, so a lot of the things that you were seeing in that movie, like that sound, that loud ass sound.
Yeah.
That is
weird.
real. That's real.
Yeah, the guy had mentioned that it was the Havana effect. I definitely heard of what happened in Cuba.
Yeah, like, all that shit was real. A lot of the stuff that they did in that movie was real, and I was literally showing us what we've done to other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just like Thomas Jefferson said, you know, how do we fucking repent for that? How do we serve, you know, that time for doing that? You know what I'm saying? Even though we didn't necessarily do that crime, but yet if you go in other places around the world, oh, fuck Americans, I hate Americans, Americans is this and that, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But look at how Americans act. So this all started, I'll tell you guys, this all kind of started, we started really diving into looking at how black people act, and just how people in general act, because we had been talking about that like literally the whole day.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of things happen, and the way it ends up happening is, you know, that cause and effect it can be indirect, you know what I'm saying? So, like we were saying, you know, reparations, you know, money, give us money, okay, cool, whatever, we give you guys money, what are you going to do with it? And that's my thing, that's why I say uneducated, because like you were saying, to your point, you know what I'm saying, there's no fucking shackles on us right now. There's no fucking...
To be clear, I didn't say it like that.
I mean, no, you didn't saying that like that, but just like breaking out of that victim mindset. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no shackles on us right now. We are not being enslaved right now, but yet we are still in that mindset.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
I said that to say, like, you did say that anybody can make it out, and that's what I was saying. Like, anybody can make it out. Because at the end of the day, you just have to want to, bro.
Okay.
You just have to want to. But that goes back to what we was talking about way back when. It was crazy how all this shit's like full circle.
We do the full circle. Watch those circles. Things come around, and
right.
Keep an eye on those circles. They're good.
So we were saying just like how a lot of shit is mental. You know, you have to want to. Nobody else can want to for you. You know what I'm saying? And the reason that I talk about black people the way I talk about black people is because black people, we are great. You know what I'm saying? We have dealt with, like she said, all these years and generations of trauma, and we have still created. We have still, you know what I'm saying, been kind at certain points in time. But I think nowadays we've gotten to a point where we kind of see the same things. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't help we get on the news and we see the same shit. You You know, but that's what they want us to see. At the end of the day, we have to remember that is what they want us to see to keep us in that victim mindset.
I definitely think you guys are getting demonized a little bit because, you know, you're hearing about all these shootings and things like that, and it's like, you know, the truth is that, you know, there are definitely there's shooters of all races, and I think that you guys are being a little bit disproportionately represented, and I think that's unfair. I think that, you know, there is a statistic though that it says it said something like 50% of the shootings happened by 13% of the population, and they were talking about the African population, and it is rough because I think it comes down to that whole being put in a position of defending yourselves, and I don't know. I think that it's going to come down to each individual person to try to really build up a better world for your community and the community as a whole. Everybody, you know, everybody's going to come together. Once people start putting down their angers, everybody's connection starts to come through for each other, and we all start building together. So
it's crazy that you say that, because, you know, that's something that I truly do believe, you know, and I hadn't even have to tell you that, you know what I'm saying? That's just something that's the collective conscious, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I truly do believe, you know, if, like you did, perfect example, you know, and I don't want to put your business out here, but like the whole, you know, bringing your family together, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, like, I can get into that a little bit.
I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, so I had a pretty scary experience. I don't know if I'll get into that.
I mean, you ain't got to get into the whole thing.
But yeah, so like, yeah, I had a pretty scary experience on New Year's a couple years ago, and I had pretty much decided that I was going to bring my family back together. You know, like I was tired of all the people being separated, and then just nobody was communicating. Everybody was angry with each other, and I took it upon myself to say that enough's enough. And like, I started kind of just talking to people that didn't talk to me, and I said, hey, you should talk to this person to get advice about this thing, and, you know, these people should talk. And, you know, now we have a really awesome relationship, and we're building it all back together. And that's crazy because, you know, nobody had talked in 5 years, and they were all mad at each other. And in the courses of a couple months, just through some conversation, through some healthy conversation like this, we rebuilt a whole family. And it's really good, man. It's a good experience.
Yeah.
It feels good, you know. It feels complete.
Yeah. And see, before I switch the topic, but I think, like you said, it takes for the individual person to get on that type of timing. You know what I'm saying? To really want to fix things, to really, you know, just want to make that radical change. You know, and like you said, that's gonna have a domino effect that, you know, we may not even see, but hopefully we do, but we may not even see. But it's about making that effort. You know what I'm saying? Because it can happen in a couple months. You don't know.
It can. I mean, I worked really hard at it, so it came fast.
Right.
You know?
You know what I'm saying? You actually give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the problem is in our community is that we've been backed into this fucking corner, and it's almost like we don't give a fuck to the point, like we don't care to the point, like, I don't care if I die. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how we've began to start thinking for real. We just don't care. But I wanted to dive into what you were just saying, you know, we were talking about objective versus subjective, you know, having things but not having, you know, that feeling, you know what I'm saying? Because is, you know, that whole feeling that you speak of, you know, that family. I think that's a feeling that only family can bring. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be your immediate family or the family that you create. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
as a man, I feel like there can be no other greater feeling than like really having your family. Like, especially when like you have kids, you got a wife. You know what I'm saying? They have kids, they got wives, they got, you know what I'm saying? Now you got great grandbabies, and you know what I'm saying? Like, being able to sit back, especially if you've kept yourself healthy enough to that you can see that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is just, it's a beautiful thing to think about. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing to want.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right now, that's what I'm gonna talk about. Right now, we're going through the whole problem of just this weird ass time for relationships in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as, you know, male to female relationships. Like,
Right. I mean, to be fair, it's like we'll say dating in general.
Yeah. You know,
But yeah, I guess you could almost say more specifically male to female relationships, because from what I understand, the gay communities, you know, both male and female, it seems like they have pretty decent things going, and that's good. It's fine. I think that, again, you got to be careful of the victim mentality, but that's aside. I'm sorry, I'm tangenting a little bit, but you know, so you were saying about the male and female relationships specifically.
I mean, so I think the male and female, we were talking about just how, you know, a male doesn't want to come home to fight his woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what we were talking about before we got into that whole, like, ratchet thing. Like, we were talking about how a man doesn't want to come home to fight his woman. He doesn't want to come home to have to see a dirty house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
You were saying that, like, as a man, like, you know, we come home tired. We just want to, like, have a quiet, chill night. Like, just relax. Like, have you close to us, like, in a physical sense, an emotional sense, mental sense. You know, we got feelings and stuff too. Like, but our the way that we see things is more of like we have a pretty physical connection with the world around us. And I'm not saying that women don't, but we have kind of like this. We get really satisfied. I mean, contrary to popular belief, we get really satisfied with just vibes. You know, like, it's like, just be around and hang out near me, and we feel fulfilled. Like, we feel like complete just having that, you know. And I do understand that women feel like they need to like talk about things, and that's cool. Like, we're down to do that as long as we also get what we need. You know, it's a give and take. In my opinion, this is the way I see it. But
so, you know, it's funny the way that you say that. It's almost like it seems like that's just too much to ask. You know what I'm saying?
I think for some people it might be. You know, and again, it comes down to, like, how were you raised?
Right.
What was the family you came from? If it's too much to ask to just kind of sit and hang out with me, I mean, that kind of brings me into question, like, where did you learn to treat other people? I know that sounds like pretty argumentative, but it's a genuine question. I'm all about genuine curiosity. I really am interested in understanding why people have become the people that they are, good, bad, ugly, everything in between, like. And I don't know, if it's too much to ask to just hang out with me, like, it seems like a lot.
Right. And we were talking about how females started saying, you know, they need a man that is going to put up with them. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely said we don't want to. We handle everything outside the house all the time. At least that's the way we feel sometimes. We don't want to have to come home and handle you too. Like, can you handle yourself?
Right.
You know, sometimes we get it. You need us as a man to be the man figure in your life, in your relationship. We get that. Every day is a little bit much for us, I think.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, like, being too much to handle, and you know, I need someone who can handle me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the type of person, I don't want to be handled. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't like the way that sounds. You know what I'm saying?
that's true.
Like, I don't want nobody handling me or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, females don't want to be submissive to a man, but they want somebody to handle them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What does that even mean?
what?
What is that? You don't want to be submissive to a man, but you want them to handle you.
Yeah.
What does that even really mean?
Right, and that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, how do you expect a man to handle you when you're not submissive? You got all these masculine ass, you know, fucking features about you. You fucking argue. You fucking, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that you just gotta be zip mouth when we talking about something, but I'm saying just like we're sitting here and having a conversation, I get to talk, you get to talk, I get to talk, you get to talk, you ask a question, I answer a question, I ask a question, you answer a question.
Yeah, it comes back to that open conversation.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's about open conversation. Like, that seems like it's just not a thing anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, females seem like they want a yes man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gonna be like, yeah, let's go.
It definitely feels like a lot of them do.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I, to be fair, don't have a lot of. I don't talk to a lot of women. You know, I keep my circle pretty tight. So I'm kind of looking at it from an outside perspective, and it does seem like there's a lot of like bad examples in the world, especially when you start to look at celebrities and things like that. Like, you know, a lot of hypocrites and things like that. And like, you know, for example, Beyonce at the time, at some point, not necessarily now because she's married to Jay-Z,
Right.
but at one point she had put out that song, Put a Ring on It or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it.
Right. So she's talking about being married, but at that time she wasn't married and she was fooling around all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there was this. It was like.
It's kind of like,
I don't know how to
so
describe
females are saying nowadays, if a man wants to, then he would. You know, like that's the thing that they're saying.
I haven't heard that.
If he wants to, that's what they're saying. If he wants to, then he would. And that's basically like, if he wants to buy you flowers, then he would. If he wants to, you know, shit like that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But
it's not
to
wrong.
your point, you know what I'm saying? We want to, but you have to make us want to. You know what I'm saying? For you. Because we want to buy somebody flowers. We want to do all these things that these females claim that they love. But what are you doing to make me want to? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're arguing with me? You're cutting me off when I'm fucking talking to you?
I'm not going to buy you flowers if that's what you're doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, how do you want me to do these things for you? And it's so funny because, like you're saying, you know, you want to be a wife, but what are you doing to be a wife? You know what I'm saying?
Does she know what that really means?
Exactly. Like, was your mother a wife? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where you're gonna essentially learn that shit from. Like, is your mother a wife? I need to know.
And I wonder how many people these days really discount how important it is to look at the way that your parents were, because the person that you are it's really a direct, like, distilling or like a boiling down of who your parents were. You are your own individual person, but you know that cliche is you are your parents is very true in a lot of ways.
I mean, you have their genes, you have their blood.
Yeah, you are a part of that. Like, they're
an extension of them.
Yeah, you're a blending of your parents 100%, and like you gain a lot of the things that they do as well. You know, it's not just like your DNA, but the way that you think about things and approach things are the same way that your parents do.
Yeah, those small mannerisms and shit, how you act, you know? Because like the lady was saying, you learn from your community. You know what I'm saying? So when it gets crazy, bro. It gets crazy. So when you have a community, and I get it, you know, a lot of females saw their mom put up with a lot of boys. shit, and they were like, I don't want to be like that, you know what I'm saying? But that's a relationship. You know what I'm saying? That man had to put up with a lot of shit too. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, hopefully he was a good dude.
Yeah.
In the case that we're talking about, hopefully that was a good guy.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, bro, we are all humans, and just like we were saying earlier, we all make mistakes. We all have our moments. Nobody is perfect. 25-8. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? So, just like I was saying earlier, you have to have that patience, bro. Like, we were talking about love, you know, we were talking
about love?
You know, we was talking about, you know, that feeling of how, like, love can run out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
That goes over with.
Yeah, going back to that kind of, like, survival thing, it's like love can go away because love is a chemical. It's, you know, it's called oxytocin. I mean, that's the chemical that makes you feel love in the brain. It will leave your body eventually. So
It's just like dopamine, bro.
So why did you bring that up?
So I was bringing it up to say, you know, these females nowadays believe that a man doesn't love me if he's not doing these things, and because she sees it on social media. You know what I'm saying? We got females who say, oh, I want a man to buy me a Birkin bag. Oh, I want a man to take me to go get lobster. Oh, I want a man to do all these things for me, right? But when you ask them, what are you doing for that man? Oh, I look good. A man just wants somebody that look good. A man just wants somebody that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that? You look good? A lot of females look good, motherfucker. What is making you different from them?
Yeah, that's true. I think that it can also be propped up by the dudes in some sense. I think that some dudes are like, yeah, I just like you because you look good, and they don't care about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of that does come from social media and other women saying, you know, you don't need. Oh, sorry, I crossed two things and broke my train of thought. Keep going with what you were saying, and maybe it'll come back to me. Sorry.
So I was just basically going into like how there's a lot of things that females want men to do for them. But if you ask a female, if you were to go somewhere to eat by yourself, you know, what would you get? And she'll say like McDonald's or Wendy's, but you want me to buy you steak and lobster, and you buying yourself McDonald's and Wendy's. What type of bag you got? Oh, you got a fucking cheap ass bag. But you want me to buy you a $10,000 bag. You ask a female, how much do you want your man to make? I want him to have $500,000. How many fucking men do you know make $500,000 in a motherfucking year?
You know what would be interesting?
What?
So a lot of women say, I want a man, I mean, because of their bank account, right? That's kind of what they want from us, is they want money. It's like, okay, well, how about this? Let's turn the tables. Now I'm only gonna date a chick that's got money.
Right. And see,
I mean, how would that change the way these women act?
You know what's so funny? If you think about, like, let's just say you 1 through 10, like, level of men type shit. 10 being the guy who gets all the females, has the money, and 6 foot and all that other shit. 1 being like nobody, who cannot even look at the road. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
presence. So if you look at men who are what they want, you know what I'm saying? They want a man making money and doing all this, right? So you look at a man that's a high value man, right?
Sure.
You look at a high value man, he is gonna look at that woman and say, I don't give a fuck how much you make. I don't give a fuck. How much you make don't mean shit to me. I got my own money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what a high value man is gonna say to that female. So when you ask that female again, what are you bringing to the table? And she says she looks good, I'm a high value man. I can go pick any female in the world that looks good.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you again, what is it that you bring to the table? And now they're stuck because those men who, you know, only cared for how they looked and, you know, not so much how they acted, and they validated that, now she looks stupid. Because the man that she wants isn't even looking her fucking way.
Yeah, I think that like women have a inflated sense of importance when it comes to looks, because to be fair, attractive women are a dime a dozen. There's a lot of them all over the place, and I don't know, like you definitely got to bring more to the table than just looking good. You have to be a provider if you want. I mean, if you're only looking for a dude with a bank account and you're only looking for him to be attractive and that's it, then you're not going to get his personality, first of all. He's going to be a garbage dude, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's not going to care about you. He's going to be there, and he's only going to see you as something to play with. And and you are going to get tired of that really quickly, and it's going to make you sour. It's going to make you angry. You're going to be walking around the house like you feel like you're not appreciated. And the fact is, you're not. Your personality is what you want appreciated, and that's not going to get appreciated if you go for these high value guys. These quote unquote high value,
right.
Big bank accounts, nice cars, like super nice cars or whatever it is. Like
Right.
they want you to be arm candy, and they're not going to give a crap about who you are as a person, and you will never feel fulfilled. You'll never feel like. You'll never feel happy. We were talking about the toys and stuff like that. You know, it's like sometimes like family is what makes you feel whole. I mean, not only accomplishment will also make you feel whole. Like achieving your dreams, that's another big thing. But like in terms of relationships, and both personal and family. I don't know exactly how to put it lightly, but
and like next to personal, so like people around you, interpersonal life, and like relationships type shit.
Yeah, I mean, like getting people close to you and keeping them close is really important to feeling happy. Whether it's like you said, born family or made family, it doesn't really matter. It's just building those super strong ties. That's what creates the happiness.
I mean, and I think we've seen the case so many times that when I start to describe to people, I already know what I'm talking about. That person that has all those things objectively, they have all these materials, they have all these, fancy cars, nice house, like they have all that, you know what I'm saying? But subjectively, how do they feel? You know what I'm saying? Subjectively. Sorry, people, we gotta pause this for 1 second, and we actually gotta do our update. So.